Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I'm sure by now most of you have seen that viral video of Iyanla Van Sant asking Eboni Williams from the Griot if she would date a bus driver. And Eboni Williams, in response to the question, says, if he owned the bus. Basically, she's implying that if he owned the bus, if he had a bus company, then she would date a quote unquote bus driver. And so in response to this, there's been a lot of criticism of Eboni Williams' position. And in response to all that criticism that she's received, she did an actual video response. And in that video response, she talked about how people should be more aspirational in the positions they seek. She talked about how she supports the ascension of Black men. She talked about how people shouldn't settle for mediocrity. For instance, people accepting C's and D's in school and their parents being okay with that. She also talked about the quote unquote bigotry of low expectations. And she talked about how people shouldn't settle for what's average and typical. And so basically what this woman did was try to deflect away from the issue and have people talking about Black excellence and have people talking about quote unquote bigotry of low expectations. Instead, she should have just been upfront and acknowledged that she is concerned about a man's status. She should have acknowledged that she is concerned about how much money a man makes and all that kind of stuff. And so I just want to take some time to share my thoughts about this. I think that her video response was equivalent to someone sprinkling sugar on waste or on feces and expecting people to think that it's actual donuts. That's basically what this woman did. So here's this thing, often too many of our women, or women period, too many of them are focused on status, clout, and money. They are more focused on those characteristics of a man than they are concerned about a man's character, his values, his personality. A lot of times, these women that are in pursuit of these superficial material things pass over quality men, good, hardworking men, men that have great character, men that have great values and morals. They pass those guys over so that they could be with somebody that has clout, has status, has wealth. And that's just a shame. It speaks to the materialism of today's generation. And there are people on social media that promote this kind of materialism. There's this popular person on TikTok who is encouraging women to be materialistic, to be gold diggers, to only be concerned about how much money a man brings to the table. This woman advises women on how to manipulate men, and she constantly uses this phrase, sprinkle, sprinkle, in all her content. And this woman is going viral, and that speaks to the kind of pathology that exists among some of our women in particular, where they're only concerned with what a man financially can provide. And the thing that makes that so ironic is that this same old school mentality is existing in the same space where we have feminism, where we have, women's quote unquote liberation, where in today's time, a woman can do anything career-wise that a man can do. There are women that do every kind of occupation in society. One of the things that they were talking about in this particular interview was how women are excelling men in many areas, like in education, in income, in other areas. But at the same time that women are excelling and, achieving so much, some of them still have the mentality that a man should be the primary provider, that a man's value is based on what kind of status he has and all that kind of stuff. And it's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate that despite all this progress that people have made, that women in particular have made, they still hold on to these old-fashioned values of a man being a provider and all that kind of stuff primarily. And I don't have anything wrong with that. You know, there's nothing wrong with a man providing and stuff like that, but there is something wrong with a woman who primarily looks at a man as a status symbol. There is something wrong with a woman who is primarily focused on how much a man makes instead of what kind of person this man is. Like, is he a loving person? Why isn't that a priority? Is he a kind person, a virtuous person, a person of integrity and character? Is he a courageous person? Is he a hard-working person? What about those attributes? What about his views on religion and all that kind of stuff? What about those things? His philosophy about life, his perspective. What about those kind of things, like his knowledge base? And knowledge, somebody having money and somebody being intelligent are not necessarily one and the same. But a lot of these women will miss out on that because they're solely focused on how much a man makes. So they pass over these good quality men to go after people based solely on how much money they have. And then they're shocked and dumbfounded when things don't work out with these men where their only connection with the man was based on how much money he had, how much material things he could give them and stuff like that. A man's worth shouldn't be decided based solely on how much money he can give you or where he can fly you out to and stuff like that. It should be about what kind of man is this? It should be about what kind of lines of communication you have with him. What about your bonds with this man? But unfortunately, some women are not concerned about those things at all. And nobody is saying that a woman should be in a position where she's taking care of a man and, where she's the one being the provider and stuff like that for a man that's not making any money, or a man who's just sitting around being a bum and stuff like that, not doing for self and stuff. Nobody's talking about anything like that. And that's something that Iyanla Van Sant pointed out. She talked about prenuptial agreement. She talked about having a man who's hardworking, regardless of what kind of money he makes and stuff like that. So yeah, I just see a lot of conflict between, people still holding on to these traditional values of a man being a provider, but at the same time, they want to be able to pursue their career. They cling to the beneficial aspects of traditional family life in terms of a man providing and protecting and all that kind of stuff, but they don't want to adhere to the traditional role of a woman in those situations. The role of a woman as a mother, as a homemaker and all that kind of stuff. That was the arrangement that they had back in the day. The man would work all day and stuff like that, provide for the house, and the woman would maintain the house and maintain the children and stuff like that. But today that doesn't happen because everybody's working. Men and women work and all that kind of stuff. But yet and still the man is expected to, be this great provider and stuff like that. And then, you do have men that are not providers and not protectors, but they want to have all this respect from women. So there are a lot of conflicts between, these traditional values that people try to hang on to, while at the same time embracing, the modern day perspective of feminism, of quote unquote women's lib and all that kind of stuff. Um, and I think that really a relationship should be a partnership. You know, it should be about people bonding together based on the person instead of the superficial things of this life. You know, all these superficial things can come and go. Like the money that people have, they can lose that. You know, the status that they have, that's something that comes and goes. Like they're famous artists that are famous today, and tomorrow they're basically back to being unknown and, you know, being a has-been and all that kind of stuff. That's the nature of life. As those things come and go, the thing that remains constant is the character, is the integrity, is, you know, includes the values and stuff like that. That's what remains, the soul of the person. But too often today, nobody's concerned about the soul. Nobody's concerned about true, genuine love. There's a lot of like pessimism in relationships, especially online when people talk about relationships. There's a lack of sincerity. It's all about manipulation, you know, doing things to control people or manipulate people and stuff like that. Instead of just being honest about how you feel, you know, instead of being all about like getting to know a person, it's a lot of superficial things. And it's not just women that may have superficial viewpoints. Some men are very superficial, only concerned with how big a woman's behind is or how sexy a woman is, instead of being concerned about like what kind of character she has or what kind of value she has. And then again, these same men who are so fixated on looks are surprised when these women exploit them, are surprised when these women don't have the character that they would like in a woman, because they never even focused on character. They were focused on what that woman looked like. So those are my thoughts about this. I'm really interested in hearing what you all have to say about that interview. So with that, please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. Peace and blessings. Have a good evening.